Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. My name is Louis Mendez. This is the big match preview on today's show. We'll be looking back at Tuesday's 3-0 defeat up at Stoke City, which made it 3 defeats back-to-back now for the Addicks, and, of course, ahead to Saturday's trip up to the league leaders, free-scoring Coventry City. Joining me to look back and forward, first up, top right, it's Nathan Miller. How you doing, Nath?
Living the dream, mate. This championship stuff's quite difficult, actually, isn't it? So,
yeah,
not bad, mate. Hopefully, everyone else is all right on this cold night.
Yeah, cold. Can we do it on a cold Thursday night in our houses? But we couldn't do it on a cold Tuesday night at Stoke, could we? But yeah, no. I thought, piece of piss. We'll just walk through the championship. No, it turns out they are all very good at football. So yeah, we'll hear from Nate. We're going to hear bottom right from Mark Newbury. How doing, Mark?
I've calmed down, so I think if we'd done this show Tuesday after the game, I think the Charlton Live swear box would be full enough for us all to go to Mauritius or something. But I'm a bit calmer now, a bit more focused, balanced, so not tearing the last 2 hairs on my head out. So
we've got to save those for later, haven't you? And also, bottom left, a man who's perfectly crafted the hair on his head is Joe Puddifoot. How you doing, Joe?
Yeah, the hair's been literally the only highlight of the week so far for me. I hope that some other Charlton fans have managed to find some other highlights to go around, because the football certainly isn't one at the minute. But I'm sure onwards and upwards we'll be all right. Just maybe not Saturday.
Yeah, we'll be all right. Just currently we're not. We have to wear it. We have to wear what's been going on for a couple of weeks. But here we go. We'll like I said, we'll look ahead to Coventry. We're going to look back at the Stoke game. We're going to hear the goals in a minute, just to hear Brownie's analysis of them. In the second half of the show, we've got Simon Lillybury from the That Cov Pod. He's the host of That Cov Pod, to tell us all about Frank Lampard's Coventry City. Then we'll hear from the Addicks boss Nathan Jones as well, looking ahead to that game up at the CBS Arena. I want to hear from you guys. Good evening, everyone joining us live in the chat. Robert was the first one in there, said 2 very bad losses. I think we need a miracle to happen on Saturday to avoid us now making it 4 defeats in a row. So let us know your feelings after Tuesday ahead of Saturday. You can email us, studio@charltonlive.co.uk. You can tweet us at Charlton Live, or you can do what Robert did, and plenty of you already have, and add a live comment in the chat. Stephen said it's the nature of the losses that's the main concern. Without knowing how soon the missing players will return, it's looking like a bleak winter ahead. Nave, before we hear the goals then, 2-0 down after 5 minutes was absolutely the last thing we needed. The manner of the first goal in particular, off the back of that heavy loss against Southampton, the very last thing we wanted is someone to bloody skew across into the top corner, put us on the back foot. 2-0 down after 5. I mean, it really couldn't have gone much worse on Tuesday when we needed a reaction. I mean, we were on the back foot immediately.
Yeah, as you say, after Saturday, you're sort of hoping, keep it tight. First 10, 15 minutes, silence the crowd and all that jazz. And in fairness, the game was gone. Like, I know they're so negative and so defeated, but after those, you're 2-0 down away at Stoke, who are going very well against us, who let's be honest, we're not very prolific, and we're not in the higher echelons of the table in terms of finishing chances or going to give ourselves any chance of getting back in that game at 2-0 down. It was hard to hear and hard to watch, and it did get into a point where it was damage limitation, and you're just like, well, we can't repeat in another one where we were when we found ourselves 3-0 down. And as I say, I just felt for everyone there, because you knew we weren't going to try and attack the game. Consider it with Stoke, we're not chatting about Sheffield Wednesday here or anything. They're a very good side, very good players. And yeah, so it was the last thing that we ever wanted. And I think naturally after Saturday, a lot of people did fear after those first few minutes, despite, the luck of some of the goals maybe. But at the end of the day, that's what's happened. And it was a difficult moment. And we've got to go again on Saturday against probably a better side that we played in the last 2 games. So, yeah, tough. But as I said the other day on Twitter, we've had a bit of a lesson. A few of us probably been brought back down to earth in terms of our start of the season, which I think is going to happen. But in the manner that's happened and how easy it was for the other teams was obviously the most disappointing thing.
Yeah. When we first got promoted, I genuinely feared it would be like this every week, and we've really held our own so far at this level. But quite a few things seem to have caught up with us a little bit now, which was always going to happen. And we'll hear from Nathan Jones later on. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, there's certainly a call. We've got to stick with the team, haven't we? Like, we are supporters. We support Charlton. We can be disappointed and pick what went wrong on Saturday, but I feel like I say, I feel like we're going to wear this for a few weeks now, just with players out, with Saturday coming up. Not being defeatist, but it's going to be tough on Saturday. This could be a tough few days, but we'll see. It was a tough few minutes at Stoke on Saturday, on Tuesday night, I should say. I will tell you this, actually. I wasn't there because of work commitments, so I obviously made sure I got home in time to turn the telly on at 7:45. Put my microwave dinner in the microwave at 7:45, and by the time it was pinged for me, ready for me to eat, it bloody 2-0 down already before I'd even heated my Thai curry. Disgraceful. Right, let's have a listen back to the goals from Charlton TV. Brownie was alongside Terry Smith.
Sonny Carey out there, but he loses possession eventually, and Stoke City have it back on the left-hand side. Cross comes in, it's drilled across, and it's in. Completely caught Kaminsky by surprise. It's almost certainly a cross. And it found its way into the left-hand corner, and Stoke City have the lead.
Yeah, I mean, that is just incredibly unlucky from a Charlton perspective. There's no way that's a strike at goal. It's a cross gone wrong. And it's impossible for Kaminsky to react, really. It's in that far corner into the side netting. It's just one of those instances, and it just happens at a horrible time for Charlton. I mean, that looks like it's a strike, but it can't be. That's got to be an attempt at a really fierce cross that he's just not got the bend on the thingy, and it's come off his shoe or his boot. Sorba Thomas, too straight. Yeah, that's a cross, but there's no way Kaminsky can get anywhere near that. That's just incredibly unlucky, very unlucky.
Jones tries to get to the head before Bojanik doesn't do so, and Stoke can break into the penalty area again, and this time it's a shot coming in from Manhoff. And Stoke double the lead. Jones trying to get to the clearance from Johansson first. Got leave it out of the way. It ran through to Manhoff and into the penalty area and struck it past Mannion. And Jones felt he was fouled in that. Referee's waving him away.
Yeah, he wants a free kick, doesn't he? He felt like he made an attempt to win the ball, and he was blocked out by Bosnick. And he's got a little bit of a case, if I'm honest with you, having watched the replay. But we just don't get tight enough to Manhoff. He's allowed to drift and pile us back into our 18-yard box, and we're backing off. And at the point he pulls his foot back, can we go to ground? Can we make a block? It's danger. That's what your brain should be telling you as a defender. He's backed me off into the box. He's drawing to take the strike. Can I get down low and try and lay in front of it and make a block? But I do think Jones has got a case.
Out to the left, and Thomas swings it into the penalty area, and it's gone in again. This time it was Jun Ho making a nuisance of himself, and Ramsey left it thinking that Mannion was going to claim it, And Mannion was thinking, Kaminsky rather, was going to claim it. And Kaminsky thought that Ramsey was going to deal with it, and it's ended up in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And when it's not going your way, well, mistakes like that are really costly.
And there's the other thing. So we've had what I would say is a fluke first goal and a very unfortunate error for the third goal, compounding our misery. And this is what I think was the attempt earlier, which was a cross into the middle of the 6. I mean, Ramsey doesn't get anywhere near that in terms of going for the ball. He just jumps up, which is a distraction to Kaminsky. You're better off not jumping at all, but it's still a Kaminsky error. It's not the hardest of saves, and I can't make any excuses really. It is what it is. It's not sure what the jump was from Ramsey. You're better off not jumping at all, and Kaminsky should comfortably gather that or push it out. It's a terrible goal to concede, but it's like you said, Tel, when you're in a spot, you're in a spot.
Yeah, and we are in a spot at the moment. 3-0 defeat then at Stoke. We heard the goals there. A brace from Sorba Thomas, neither of which were shots, sort of sums it up how it's going at the moment in terms of, both our luck and mistakes creeping in. The second one as well. I've watched it back a few times more since Tuesday. So when I saw it on Tuesday, the challenge from Bosnich on Jones, I was sort of maybe. But actually, when I sat down and watched it again today, I was like, no, he's not even looking at the ball. He's just gone straight into Lloyd Jones and just eased him off it when he's jumping. So I think that probably is a foul, but then we don't defend it very well after that. Manhoff, we just didn't get anywhere near him to stop him making it 2-0, Mark. I mean, we'll go through each goal in a minute, but just sum up your feelings watching that one. You said if we'd spoken on Tuesday, it might have been a slightly different show.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, again, same as you, I'd watched it a couple of times and thinking if that had gone the other way, if Lloyd had fouled their guy like that, I guarantee you the ref would have given a foul. And that was a bit of a strange thing. Gillespie so flat-footed when he's like running back trying to keep an eye on the guy. So the guy had so much time to like pick his spot for it. It was frustrating, more so the second one than the first one. Let's say the first one, a fluke, straight over the keeper but there's a part of me which goes, yes, it's a cross over his head, but he's watched that ball come a long way. It's not like he's on the edge of the area. It's actually quite a way out. So why he hasn't even put his arms up kind of thing to do that? He's sort of like watched it, waved it and watched it into the corner. The second one, and I say 2-0 down after 5 minutes, you are thinking, crikey, after Southampton's managed to set a record for 4 goals in the quickest time, Stoke have really said, hold my beer, we're having a crack at that. It was frustrating. And then obviously they swapped it around, put Ramsey back on the left. I thought Bree looked rusty for being out, even just for one game, but you don't know how much the injury is playing on him. Across the back, Jones, we know, is great in the air. I think teams have worked out if they get someone nippy and quick, they can turn him. So defensively, I just thought the midfield let down that defence. Though I thought the midfield was non-existent. It really was. It was like having the invisible man in there. But, you expect Coventry to sit a bit deeper, Doc to be around, Carey, all the 3 of them. I just saw, no one's come out of that game with any kind of like credit. There's 1 or 2 who didn't have a bad performance, but there's more on the naughty step than there are on the sort of like plus column for me. And like I say, defensively, to be 2 down after that, we know we're not going to score 3. We're not that kind of team, especially at the moment, without missing so many strikers. So it's difficult to kind of warrant a calmer response at the time. Now, looking at it, it's just like, it is what it is. So we got what we deserve because we didn't deserve anything from that game.
Yeah, well, where's it gone wrong then, Joe, in the last couple of weeks? So we went to Wrexham, another day like that, we get a result. Wrexham, it's just one of those games, obviously, with the handball from Hernandez. But on another day, we take one of our chances, we probably get something there. But obviously, the last 2 games have been quite chasing in. The Southampton game was like the perfect storm of a side that that is coming back to life, and we were well off it. And then, like I say, the terrible start on Tuesday night killed us immediately. It was game over after 5 minutes. I mean, can you put your finger on what's changed in that time? Is it just the injuries? Is there anything else missing in those performances for you?
I think Kelman's a huge miss for us. I know he wasn't banging in the goals, but if you were to compare his ability to press versus Lee Burns, it's really, really easy to play around Lee Burn. He just doesn't have that agility or pace off the mark to close people down in the same way that Kelman does. And when that first press is not at the level it needs to be, then you get through and into the midfield, and they're having to deal with a bigger wave of people coming through. And then you get more people coming through onto the defence, because the midfields look shocking, really, the last sort of 2-3 games. It hasn't really been involved in the party at all. And yes, we've been playing teams that are physical, that are quick, probably quicker and more physical than some of the teams that we have played, and they can mix that with some good passing movements as well. But our midfield just isn't dominated like that generally. So I sort of am sort of convincing myself that lack of press at the top of the pitch is really, really hampering us. And I feel sorry for Lee Byrne, because it's not his game. He doesn't have the attributes to play that way. But if you're not getting the press right at the start, and they're starting to get their way through and starting to build platforms, then you are a bit on a hiding to nothing. And I think it's quite telling that we've scored 1 goal since Kelman has sort of gone off injured. I appreciate that Kelman wasn't scoring goals himself, but his pressing and his work does create attacking platforms for us. And we don't beat teams by breaking them down with a stunning passing movement from front to back. We score goals by nicking it high up and going off that platform. And without that energy and that press, we just look like a completely different team. I think that Nathan needs to adjust. And I know we want to be front-footed and we want to be aggressive, but if what we've got is what we've got, the players that are fit, if they can't do that game, then we need to come up with a plan B. Because if we keep going with plan A, especially against Coventry on Saturday, then it's going to be a very, very ugly scoreline, because they're going to pick us off, you'd imagine, with consummate ease.
Yeah, I mean, there's some quotes from Nathan Jones on Richard Colley's Substack today where it doesn't sound like we're going to massively sort of change the style. And when you're trying to find something that does work, it's going to. I think we're going to wear some difficult days over the next few days. I just feel like it's going to be like that. It is interesting, Joe, and I'm not just saying you've done this, because I've said it as well when thinking about things. But with Kelman missing, I think TC is just, his role has disappeared. Like, if in the last couple of games, he's not been able to affect the game at all. Because without him there doubling up on the press with Kelman, I feel like it's just then getting the ball out to him, and he's been able to do nothing with it. But also, the other thing I found interesting over the last 2 defeats, because for me, the last 2 games, the story of the game is not the strikers overall. The story of the game is we've come away from what we've been good at doing, which is defending, pressing, whatever. But a lot of the focus has been on the fact that TC's not been great, and Lieberm, has battled but been a bit quiet. But actually, the thing that's changed is the defence and the midfield. Nathan, for me, it's strange, isn't it? How we focused on the part of the pitch that's always been the bit that needs a little bit of help, but actually the bit that we've been good at completely falling apart has been our downfall over the last the last few days. We talk about the goals. I mean, I think we've covered the first goal, really. It was a weird cross. Mark felt that maybe Kaminsky could have done better. I watched it back again today, and it does go quite high over his head. So maybe a bit harsh. But, I think Nathan said in his press day today about him being a foot taller and it'd be different. I mean, obviously, we'll talk about him for the third goal. But yeah, the second one, again, we've spoken about maybe Jones gets eased off the ball and it's probably a foul, Nath. But the defending after that, again, didn't look right. I mean, I think Gillespie sort of... not been able to quite get the block that he wanted. By the time he's got out there and it's gone through his legs, the geezer's about 8 yards from goal.
Yeah, and it's still the striker or the white winger or where he was still had the time to come in and chopped inside and finish quite comfortably. So yeah, it's even if obviously Jones goes up to change the ball, you've still got to be set behind the ball, which we weren't. We were still quite loose. And to be fair, it was a good run of finish, but it was again it wasn't like the ball fell to him on the edge of the box and he's done a first time shot and he caught everyone off guard. He still had to do some work to get that finish in. So, yeah, I mean, it could be a foul. It could not be a foul. I mean, either way, it's what you do after the one. And obviously that was a disappointing one. And obviously the third one, like, I don't really know I'd be interested in what everyone else thinks, but even though I don't think Kaminsky covered himself in any glory, for me, I think Kane shouldn't be there. I think if someone chops in on their right, that as a defensive unit, I think you should hold that line. The moment he drops down into his 6-yard box or whatever, then it's an indecision which has cost the goal. Yeah, Kaminsky should have done better. For me, that line shouldn't be dropping that deep. But again, as you say, in terms of as you said, we've been built on solid foundations, and Joe made a good point on Kelman. I agree with him. And even though we've spoke about the strikers, Leeburn isn't going to work those channels as well as TC and Kelman. TC ended up out further wide. Then you've got sort of Carey and Berry. So if you're looking at for an outball, the only one you're going to do is you're going to go 2 miles. But who's the runners beyond him? That's the one after it. Kelman's not chasing the channels. TC's too deep. We can't go through teams anyway. We only go over or round. So we were obviously relying on crosses, really, but we were never in a position to do so. But as you say, the last couple of games, Southampton especially, was people were coming straight through that middle. And every time we face someone with a bit of agility, a bit of speed, a bit of guile, we seem to struggle. But as you say, which was weird because for the last, 18 months or whatnot, we've been strong as a unit and not many teams have done that to us. You know, we've not been free flowing by any stretch, but it is concerned in the last 2 games. Maybe it's a little blip, but obviously that's not going to help the confidence these last 2 games. So obviously we've got some work to do in trying to get back to that solidity. Unfortunately, against the best scoring team, we scored about 1,000 goals so far this year. So, yeah, we're going to have to improve that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that we've literally just played. We've played second place on Tuesday, and we're playing top of the table on Saturday as well. I mean, sometimes it's easy to forget because, like, you just look at the size of clubs and you sort of Stoke feel like a mid-table side, but they're flying at the moment. Coventry, you know, they've been down in League One and they've been down in League Two, but they're absolutely flying at the moment as well. These things sort of, you almost forget how good some of these sides can be in the Championship. Scott says, have faith. We've lost these last few games, but we're still only 4 points off the playoffs. We just need to get back to our basics and defend well. So, I mean, Nathan's given the case for the defence a little bit there for the third goal, Mark. Obviously, Ramsey being in a weird position, but he had a funny old game, didn't he, on Tuesday, Thomas Kaminsky? He made some half-decent saves in the second half, but he'd already had that moment where he'd come to the edge of his box, completely misread anything. And that's always a concern when you see a bit of a goalkeeper coming out and doing that. Is it communication or what? But it was lucky for him. I think it was Thomas who met it with his head and headed wide. But yeah, the third goal, even if Ramsey is in the way a little bit, he's gone right through him, and he won't have been pleased with his part in that third goal.
No, I mean, it's tough because I think I was stoked when we picked up Kaminsky in the summer because I thought, you know, he's a good quality keeper. And unfortunately, it's such an isolated position. When you do drop a wicket like that, it's very much magnified. Whereas, you know, you can give a ball away in midfield and nothing comes of it. Nothing really happens. For a goalkeeper, if you drop one, it generally results in you letting in a goal. And he didn't, as again, he's misjudged for run out to the edge of the area. He made very good save where a guy really blasted one to his left, a good reaction save to that. So, yeah, it could have been a worse scoreline. But I think in the second half, Stoke could have come out with their dressing gowns and slippers and it would have still been the same result. I was more... We like with Kaminsky. I mean, we'll get on to the up forwards later on, but I just think it's a whole team thing. I mean, the disappointment thing was after the Southampton, Doc came out and said, you know, we got to show reaction. We got to turn around. We know it wasn't good enough. And when you see him go off, he just looked confused. And you're thinking, well, what are you confused about? We have played like someone's tied our laces together. We've played like 11 people who have never met before, you know, and teams now know they can play the ball quickly behind us and we're so slow to turn and react to it. And wave after wave, it was with Southampton. You know, in theory, the way Stoke sometimes, if their final ball had been better, they would have scored a lot more. When we tried it, our final ball was terrible up front. And it's funny, I normally leave the stats for Joe. He's our main man for that. But I was looking at one of the sites that he showed me that said that TC touched the ball 17 times in 60 minutes. So once roughly every 3 minutes where he's touched the ball. Leeburn touched it 31 times in 75 minutes. Now, your front two have touched the ball combination 48 times in 135 minutes. That's just not good enough. And I agree with Joe when he's saying about Kelman's got a physicality which Leeburn doesn't have. Leeburn's got power, but he just doesn't tend to use it. He's very good getting the ball and keeping it and trying to turn, but it seems to be that he's bullied. They weren't really bothering jumping against him because they knew he wasn't going to do anything. If he did win it, no one was picking up a second ball. So they're pretty much like, let those two up front. We just looked so toothless at attack. And then that just knocks on because then the pressure comes through midfield, back to defence, back to the keeper. And we just looked so disorganised, which had been so weird. When you look at the games where we've looked fantastic, like Ipswich away, we just looked so organised and compact and tidy. And Blackburn at home, we just looked that second level. And it's so strange how a team can switch from one level completely down to another one. And I don't understand it as to drop. It's such a noticeable drop as well. I mean, you can say, was having a bad game. We've got the injuries and blah, blah, blah. But the levels have dropped, and it's dropped all across the team. And I think if you look at the heat maps of Stoke and us, Stoke's heat map is red, 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 red. We're lucky to get a warm green on any areas. Where Bree was our most successful time with the ball, and we did nothing with it.
Yeah, I mean, once he was 2-0 down after 5 minutes, I think no one really saw us getting back into it, and that's obviously a bit of a concern at the time. But yeah, that's where we are at the moment. Let's have a look at a couple of emails. McSquared said it was a totally predictable result and scoreline. It says, forget what happened just previously. The real battle has just begun, and the support will be needed now more than ever. Carl says there's more pain to come. So he's more disappointed with the Stoke performance than he was with Southampton. He says it's time for the wing-back formation to be dropped with the players we have available. And that's something we'll talk about in the second half of the show when we start looking ahead to Coventry, everyone. I think try and work out what is the best way to play at the moment, because I don't think Nathan wants to come away from what we have been good at. He doesn't want to change it too much, but is there any other way at this moment in time? It's difficult to see. Elliot says, "Oi, oi, meatballs. I'm still in shock. It's been a tough one. Injury to key players have hurt us, noticeably starting up front with Kelman. Even though he's only had one goal, he's been pivotal in freeing up Tyrese Campbell." Says Stoke and Southampton had better technical quality. Says January can't come soon enough. He's got complete faith in Jones. Says, bring on Coventry. I can feel a clean sheet coming on. Keep up the good work. That's from Elliot. It's out in Amsterdam now. Brian says, if anyone thought when they sat through Saturday that was our worst first half, it wasn't as bad as a 6-0 half-time score against Everton on the 7th of February, 1931. Mark, I don't know what that was like watching, but he says that was a 7-0 defeat. Dixie Dean got a hat-trick. And then lastly, Philip says we need more creativity in the team to help create more goal-scoring chances. So the January transfer window, we need to buy a midfield general like a Kinsella or a Parker to control the midfield. If Godden or Kelman are not back, we need to buy a striker. Tyrese Campbell is not a striker. That's from Philip Palmer. Cheers, Phil. Before we go to the break, Joe, if you had to sort of predict how we would get things better between now and Saturday, I mean, if there was one thing you think that would switch it, what would you think it would be? I mean, because I'm sure there's ideas that people have. Is it a change in formation? Is it easing off a little bit and sitting a little bit deeper, which is not what we're about, but is it what we need to be with the lack of people and bodies at the moment? I'm not Nathan Jones, and I think there'll be a lot of managers looking at going to Liam says we need a magic sponge. A lot of managers going to Coventry so far this season. They're in really bad form, Coventry. They lost to Wrexham on the 31st of October. Obviously, they've won 10 games either side of that, but still, it feels like an impossible task, but it's Nathan Jones's job to try and make it possible on Saturday.
Thanks for the easy question. I think when you're looking for how you're going to turn this around, I mean, outside of divine inspiration, we know Nathan's a very religious man, so maybe he can get in touch with the big man upstairs and see if he can do him a favour. Don't know if he's bought some of his ceremonial items and relics down to the training ground. If he has, I hope he left the crucifixes at home, because Kaminsky probably would have fallen apart at the sign of some more crosses coming in. But I think we're just going to have to really take our foot off the gas in terms of the press and sit in and be a bit more compact. I know it's not our number one go-to. I also think that if we haven't got wing backs that can defend in a wing back way, in the way that we want, then maybe we need to look at a 4. And I thought we did look the most solid when we went to a 4 on Tuesday, although the game was undoubtedly over. And of course, if you go to 4 at the back, you can put the likes of Apta and TC in slightly more attacking position if you pack that midfield and make it really workmanlike. You've got the likes of Nibs you could bring in. I'm not his biggest fan, but even Anson for energy and work rate, you can make an argument there. And just really be really solid in that 3 in front of the defence, the 4 behind them, and then just say to TC and Apta, yes, track back, do your working, but your job is to press when you can in the right spaces and get out and in and around Lieber. And when we're going from defensive attack, we'll go nice and direct and get you in behind and some flick-ons and see what we can get on the break. Because let's face it, we can go and try and press them, but I just don't see how we're going to sustain that level of energy and that level of press for 90 minutes against a team of their caliber. And, goal difference, you hope you're not relying on that at the end of the season. But if you go and get tonked 7 or 8-0, then that doesn't help the confidence either. If you battle on for a 1-0 defeat, even, at least you can come away and go, well, they're smashing everybody and they've just edged past us. That has a bit of a better ring to it, I think, overall for the squad. But I think that the only thing that Charlton fans can do at the minute is look forward to Saturday week, because we've got Portsmouth. So it doesn't matter what happens on Saturday. We're going to win 75-0 against them the week after.
Yeah, well, something to look forward to. Scott says that we have to go back to being hard to beat. Referenced it earlier. We need to do the basics well. Paul says we need to stop hoping that Tyrese Campbell is going to become a striker suddenly. Other Paul says we need to put 9 at the back and 2 in goal. Well, we've got Hernandez, haven't we? So we've got a perfectly ready-made replacement there. He's sounds like he's going to be back fit for Saturday. David says, so this is the thing I've sort of been wrestling with, and me and Nath were talking before the show as well. Like, is the Charlton thing to come away with like an unexpected win every now and then? It's the best kind of win. And going into a game we just don't expect is going to happen. But stone me, I mean, this would be right up there in terms of unexpected. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying we're terrible or anything like that. We've got some great wins already this season. Ipswich being a prime example, but ain't no one getting nothing off Coventry at the moment, and they've scored 47 goals this season. James says being on the front foot when the squad is decimated was the mistake. Sometimes you have to soak up the pressure and become hard to beat. Liam said they conceded 3 at Wrexham. We only conceded 1. I'll let you make of that what you will. Joe would like to see a back 10 on Saturday. Alan says we just need to pray. Well, we've got a plan there. We put a plan together. Apart from Alan, who's saying they've hit 47 goals, make that 57 on Saturday. Come on, Alan. It's not going to be like that, I'm sure. Right, let's have a quick break. When we come back, we will hopefully our Coventry guests will be ready to join us. We'll see you in a few moments' time.
PSF Steel Limited is a trade supplier of steel fabrication and erection services to the new build, construction and refurbishment market in southern England. With their unrivaled depth of experience, they excel at providing their customers with high quality and cost-effective steel fabrication solutions. Their customers include national and regional house builders, such as Barratt Homes, Bellway Homes, the Vistry Group and Taylor Wimpey. They pride themselves on their service-based ethos and commitment to customer service excellence, which includes full technical backup and on-site services and support. If you would like more information, go to www.psfsteel.co.uk. That's www.psfsteel.co.uk.
Hello fellow addicts, I'm so excited to tell you all about our micropub, the River Ale House. The River Ale House is based in East Greenwich. It has 6 Pub of the Year awards, an ever-changing selection of amazing beer, It's owned by Charlton fans, walkable to the ground in just 20 minutes with buses that go direct to the Valley too. If your matchday routine includes a drink with your friends, you must join your fellow addicts in the river. See you soon.
Right, welcome back to Charlton Live. This is the big match preview, looking ahead to Saturday's trip up to Coventry City. Hopefully, we're going to be joined by Simon from that Cov pod a bit later on, but he's not with us just yet. So, I mean, Nathan, Alan's asking, are you allowed to play 3 goalkeepers? I mean, this is a scary one, okay? And I know we shouldn't fear anyone, and the players won't go out there thinking this is, but I mean, they appear to be pretty good. They've scored 47 goals so far this season, which is almost 20 more than anyone else in the division this year. I mean, they're putting away teams for fun. They went and got 4 at Middlesbrough on Tuesday night, having been 2-0 up, pegged back to 2-2. They seem to let in a few goals. So take that as something to hope for. But I mean, in terms of tests, it doesn't get any more difficult than this, and it just feels like, again, just the last game we could have done with right now.
Yeah, I mean, based on the last 2 results, it's the last one you want to face, really, conceding 8 goals in 2 games. But yeah, listen, this is, in a way, we all were pining back in League One, playing the likes of Mansfield and Burton and whatnot, and we wanted to get out of this division, and we rightly got out of it, and we deserve to. And these are the sort of games you're gonna come, you're gonna face. And I'd rather be doing this, as daunting as it is. And as you say, it's not like we've become, a terrible team. We're in a bit of a sticky patch. We need to obviously buck our ideas up. But these are the games that you wanted when, instead of going to Mansfield or Burton or Leyton Orient or whatever. So we've got to try and embrace it, as difficult that is. Thinking about Saturday, but they're a good team. Matt Grimes is a player that I've loved for ages. So it's going to be good watching him, but hopefully he's very quiet on Saturday. But listen, they're banging form, attackingly amazing. They give up a few goals, but that's probably because they're so on the front foot they might leave space behind. But at the moment, we're not really going to get in behind if we're going to be playing the way we are. And I agree with Joe, like, we'll probably have to be a little bit more passive, maybe a little bit more negative in terms of our press, because I don't think unless you bring Karoy in, who's got energy, but then still not gonna do that the whole game, as Joe said. So it's going to be tough, but it's not going to define our season Saturday. But what will define our season is if we carry on giving away silly goals against very, very good players. So it's going to be tough, but we've got to try and embrace it, as difficult that is at the moment to say that.
Yeah. Dudley says you're right. You got to embrace it. I mean, look. I mean, we're here for a reason. We're in the Championship because we're good enough to be in the Championship. So they've lost. So this is absolute straw clasping there. They've lost to Wrexham. They lost at Millwall in the FA Cup. They drew at home against Hull on the opening day, and they've drawn at home against Norwich, who are rubbish, and they only equalised right at the end in that one as well. So I think they're there for the taking, actually, when you look at some of these results. But coming off the press a little bit, Mark, is that in our nature? So after the Southampton game, when there was fears going into that game because we had injured players out, and I sort of said to Nathan, after 4, you change things around. In hindsight, could you have started differently? And he sort of said no, other than maybe coming off the press a bit. And then is that a viable tactic for us? So from what he said to Richard today, it's sort of like that's not in our nature. We are good at what we do when we do it well, so we just need to do it better than we have done over the last few days. But we've got players missing, so it's a tough ask to turn that on again on Saturday. But if we do, I mean, happy days. It'd be a great result if we can go up there and get something.
Yeah, you've got to cut your cloth to what you've got available. I don't know whether it's just Nathan being stubborn and saying, right, we have to play this way. We want to be front-footed, blah, 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 blah. I think I'd go with a 4. I'd just put Karoy in as well. Same for the energy he's got, and he's going to get around, disrupt. The thing about Coventry is they score goals from all over, and they've got some big old units playing for them. And it's funny because Nathan was saying about Grimes. I'd like Ellis Sims, their guy up front, who just is everything Leeburn isn't. He uses his size, uses his weight. He's attacking in the box. and he's a real handful for the opposition. Which, yeah, Lloyd likes that kind of fight, but they won't do that. They won't put him in like that. They'll pick us off from the wings. Look, we've like every boxing match, you've got a puncher's chance. We could catch them on a really off day. They could have trained, really badly this week and just say, well, it's Charlton, we don't need to do anything. Let's all go to the cinema, lads. But unfortunately, until we're back at sort of like peak team condition, i.e. the players we want to have playing, we're going to have to really buckle it up. So, look, if you want to go there and sit 4-5-1 and say, right, try and break through 9, because they can do that, but and say, right, if we come away 0-0, well, that's a green shoot for us, and you've got to take a positive out of it. But I want to see more of a reaction than we had Tuesday night.
Right, well, let's find out a little bit more about Frank Lampard's Coventry City. Delighted to say that Simon from that Cov Pod joins us right now on the show. How you doing, Simon?
Very good. Sorry about the delay about that. I'm glad to be here now, though.
Yeah, excellent. No, we're really glad to have you. We were just talking about how vulnerable you've been over the season. You drew at home to Norwich and Hull. You lost at Wrexham a few weeks ago. Where's it all gone wrong this year?
Well, where to start with this season? It's a season that it's just out of the wildest dreams. I'm sure all you fans will just think maybe one day after all these years of suffering, something will come together in one season. And it's just been absolutely insane. The amount of goals we're scoring, the amount of wins we're getting, 10 wins out of 11. We won 9 games out of 10 under Frank Lampard in January when we made a push for the playoffs after Robbins was sacked. And that was the best winning run of the club's history. And the 2 best winning runs of Coventry's history have both come in 2025 under Frank Lampard. 10 wins out of 11 now, scoring so many goals, 47 goals in 17 games. I'm trying not to be gloating, but it's just the best football I've ever seen right now.
I'd take it, mate. I would just take that all day long. Enjoy yourself, because I don't think any of us are looking forward to Saturday if you're asked us. But you touched on Mark Robins there, and I'm just going to want to take you back a bit. I mean, when he was sacked, it was quite a little bit of especially in the media. Obviously, I'm not there to say about Coventry fans, but when Robins was sacked, he was sort of in and around the playoffs, wasn't he? So I thought he was doing a good job. But what was the feeling around when that happened? And obviously Frank came in. Were you all sort of happy with it, with the board's decision, or was everyone a bit dubious at the beginning?
So Mark Robins we were 17th when he was sacked. But what it was that we'd been slow starters for the last 3 seasons in the Championship. One of them had ended in the playoff final defeat to Luton. One of them had ended in the FA Cup semi-final against Man United and just missing out on the playoffs. So we were all kind of used to it, and we just waited until November to start our season, basically, while the other teams got advantage on us. So when it happened, it was a lot of anger towards Doug King, the owner, and frustration. Mark Robins saved the football club. He took us from League 2 to the Championship playoff final. Nobody around the club can speak of him high enough for what he actually did and how he managed awful situations. We played at Birmingham and won the League One title at St Andrews. He managed so many different things that he was almost not unsackable for most Cov fans, but Cov fans would put up with almost anything when you've been in a relationship with someone that long. That's what it felt like. Nobody even thought about changing the manager. That's the stage it got to. So when it happened, it was a massive shock. Fortunately for Doug, he made the right decision in terms of leaving it for, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before he actually appointed Frank Lampard. So everyone had kind of moved on from the Mark Robins discourse by the time Lampard came in, and he came in with some excitement. I mean, he's won a Champions League group stage. He's managed Chelsea. He's managed Everton in the Premier League. So for a Championship club to be able to attract a manager with that sort of caliber, before you even take into account his playing days, which I don't like to muddle too much. I'd rather just focus on what he does as a manager. People were excited about Lampard, but it was a slow start over the first kind of 6 weeks of him getting his feet under the table. And then from there, it's just been absolutely incredible. So, yeah, club's in a brilliant place now. Doug King, the owner, made a real big gamble sacking Mark Robins and replacing him with Frank Lampard, and it's paid off to the biggest extent.
Yeah, it's quite painful listening. I'll be honest. I suppose if you can sort of turn it around. I mean, we would normally ask who to watch out for, but I want to go to bed before tomorrow. So instead of that, how about we turn it around and say, so what are the chinks that you've shown this season, that, you know, the 4 or 5 minutes where you've not been absolutely smashing everybody all over the park? How are we going to maybe get away with a result against you on Saturday?
Well, we can see goals and we can see chances against almost everybody, which is crazy to say for a team that looks so dominant in the league in terms of points and goals scored. Somebody said that you need to score 3 goals to beat Coventry this season, is what Wrexham managed to do when they beat us. Borough probably should have scored 3 on Tuesday night when Conway fired over the bar from about 6 yards out. But we give up a lot of chances. We've kept 1 clean sheet in our last 7. So that gives you some extent. Watford came to the CBS and created a lot of chances. Blackburn, Sheffield United. We tend to go 1-0 down quite a lot. West Brom went 2-0 up and we managed to beat them. So defensively, it's an attacking defence as well as an attacking team in general. Bobby Thomas and Liam Kitchen have a really good partnership at centre back. But we do concede goals. It's simple as that. So I wouldn't expect us to keep us a clean sheet on Saturday, despite your guys' recent struggles. But I do think we will end up scoring, hopefully, about 3 or 4 goals.
Hey, Simon, you've got one of our old guys playing for you who was very good at left back, Jay Da Silva. How have you found him for you playing this season?
Yeah, this season he's one of the players that's massively improved under Lampard, and I think that's the big positive for Frank Lampard, is that we've added Matt Grimes, who obviously one of the best midfielders in the Championship. He's so key for us. He's already captain, plays every minute, superb. And Carl Rushworth, the goalkeeper. But apart from that, this squad's been together for 2 years almost. Jay Da Silva, he gets targeted a bit because of his height. He's a very small player, struggles in the air sometimes. If you get a big centre forward over there and you're whipping crosses in, can be a weak point. But he has come on leaps and bounds. He's so aggressive in the tackle, so quick. His ability on the ball is unbelievable. Again, going forward and as an attacking fullback. He was in the Wales squad for the last 2 internationals as well, which is just brilliant for him and us as well. I always say about Jay Da Silva, if you are a left back and you are, I think he's 5'3", 5'4", something like that, you have to be an exceptional footballer when the ball's on the ground and moving it, and the way he manipulates it and the way he can beat people. And yeah, he has been really, really good this season, as well as Milan Van Eyck, our right back. But yeah, Da Silva's come from nowhere because we got him on a free from Bristol City, and he's just stepped up like most players have this season, but also at the end of the last season when we got into the playoffs.
Excellent stuff. Well, Simon, really appreciate your time this evening. Let us know about Coventry. Look forward to. I hope the enemy are going to be there again, because the videos of that was one of the coolest things I've seen in years. But yeah, thanks for your time, and good luck for the rest of the season. I feel like you need the luck, so yeah, good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks a lot, guys. I think the enemy they won't be playing live before kickoff, but you'll get a "We'll Live and Die in These Towns" rendition, and you'll probably see a few goals at least for your money anyway.
There we go. That's good. That's Simon from that Cov pod. I wasn't really listening, but I think he said they were rubbish this season. But yeah, good to have Simon on the show. Yeah, it was scary. Right, let's look ahead to it from a Charlton point of view. The Addicts boss Nathan Jones sat down for a chat with Terry earlier on today.
Had an incredibly good start to the season. Probably better than most of us Charlton fans expected. So, is it a case of knowing and understanding that we talk about the journey? That the journey is always going to have some bumps in the road, and this is one of those. And the mood in the camp, is it based on similar sort of understanding?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we've been through this in this experience. You know, we've had tough 3 fixtures. Up until the Wrexham game, we were 5th in the league. We were 5th in the league. So it's 3 games where we've been stretched, considerably stretched, and we cannot be stretched at this level because they're a fantastic side. Now, Wrexham was nothing in the game. You know, both sides had opportunities, could have taken the lead, could have won the game, and so on. It was. Then the other 2 come up against 2 very, very good sides at a time when we haven't been at our strongest. That can happen. What we have to make sure, as we said, is that we now just keep getting points, keep picking up points until we get our full quarter back, till we're able to strengthen and to get, you know, everyone back, and then we go again. And we did exactly the same last year. Obviously, with a league gap, but our squad's better than it was last year. You know, we are missing Matt Gordon, Charlie Cowman, who are arguably, were brought in to score goals for this football club. That's missing. We have been missing Mari Bell, Josh Edwards, so the complete left side. Reece Burke, so that means that Kane gets a rest or Lloyd gets a rest because of that competition. We haven't had that, and that has really been a telling point for us. But we can't keep harping on about that, because the time now is to make sure that we find a different way to win a game, or find a win to win a game, because that's all it's about.
Well, with that in mind, I probably know what the next question is going to be. It's great to see Amari Bell back in a squad for Tuesday night. How close are any of the others to being in the frame?
Well, obviously they're a week closer and stuff, and we'll have a stronger squad going into Saturday than we did on Tuesday, because obviously with Onel was at a tight hamstring on Tuesday, so we couldn't include him and risk him. We could have risked him, but we don't, because I can think. So we'll have Onel back, we have Amari back, so we have different threats, different options going into the Saturday. So that's a positive.
As you say, heading to the CBS Arena on Saturday, it was always going to be tough anyway, given Coventry's form since Frank Lampard took charge. The mindset of approaching the game, is it different now because of what's happened in the last few weeks rather than it would have been otherwise?
No, absolutely not. I don't want to. We're not a team that goes and contains and has to, sit in and be passive. That's not how we've got our success, and this is not the DNA. This is not what we have. We were aggressive against Southampton, but we come off structure. We opened up, the middle of the park was open and so on. The other night, they were just really poor goals to give away, errors, certain things. Yep, the second goal we felt shouldn't have stood, but so we've got to get back to being the best version of ourselves. That's what I keep preaching. I keep saying, if we're the best versions of ourselves and we are aggressive, we are front-footed, we are, do all the right stuff, then that's when we're at our best. I haven't seen us be passive in the game and be the best versions of ourselves.
Well, if you need some help, you've got a sold-out away end on Saturday. Over 2,000 Charlton fans will be in the CBS Arena to cheer you on. That should boost the play.
Yeah, and look, and that's what we're saying to them. Just stay with us in terms of that. There are context around these defeats. Look, it's going to be difficult anyway, because we've come up a division for the Championship. But as I said, we want to be ultra competitive with this thing, and they play their part. So they've been magnificent. Stay with us in terms of certain things, because we'll come through this, and then, as we asked them before, be part of the journey, be part of everything, because this is a fresh stage in the journey. And look, we're looking forward to it. It's a wonderful challenge. Going. Would we rather be going here, or would we rather be going to a Shrewsbury or a Cheltenham, without being disrespectful? No, this is the games that we worked so hard for, and this is the game that we want to be really competitive in.
I would have been so funny if Nathan had said Burton Albion as well, just to keep the hate campaign going against the Brewers. And yeah, as he said, we've got quite a weird role as fans in this stage of the season. Well, not a weird role. We have to. I think we have to try and be as supportive as possible, because, as I keep saying, I think we're going to be wearing some difficult weeks, and we are going to have to wear it and understand that we aren't playing Burton Albion. We are playing proper Championship teams. We're in a bit of a muddle with injuries and stuff, and yeah, we got to try and stick with them. Joe pointed it out as well, and I noticed it when I was listening this morning. When Terry started to offer help, I was like, bloody hell, what's he going to say here? What is he going to? Is he going to come in and say maybe you should try this and put his life on the line? But he didn't do that, Nath. But I'm going to let you do that. If you were Terry Smith in the press conference there, and you said, if you want some help, what help would you have offered, Nathan, for Saturday to make sure that we go and inflict a first home defeat on Coventry City this season?
Didn't expect that question. I thought he was going to say, if you was in the dugout and you had to play Terry Smith in one position, then I'll be like, well, 100% I'll play him down the channel, mate. That pace. Ooh, jeez.
Since he's had that knee replacement, he's back to... He's
Speedy
back to the
Gonzalez.
best version of himself, yeah.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, obviously, Nathan, I hadn't heard that thing yet, so obviously it's the first time I heard that press from today. I haven't had a chance, but by the looks of it, he's not going to go passive, and I kind of agree with it in a way, but I still wouldn't, because I think, even though naturally, after the last two things that we've seen, I think naturally as a fan, we all go into defence mode and try and preserve and try to save the embarrassment, I suppose. But I suppose going against a Coventry team, you can't contain them for 90 minutes. I don't think we do have that. So I kind of get what he's saying. But I just think even if we do have a solid shape, my thinking is the out ball. I'm just trying to think of how we're going to transition. If we have Lieberman, you're going to have need someone with pace around him. So does that mean TC goes up and Hernandez comes back in on the left? You've got Jay Da Silva there. So as you know, the Coventry guy just said, a lot of the strikers would be peeling off, which that'll be Lieberman, I would imagine. But then we got to get in those advanced positions. But yeah, we got to go there with hope. Otherwise, what's the point of us turning up? We might as well pack up and just call the season and just see what happens, simulate it or whatever. But we've got to go there with some sort of hope. But yeah, it's going to be a difficult game. But I don't really know in terms of starting 11. As always, the players are just a week closer, so we don't really know if that means if that's imminent or not. But so it's hard to say, really.
I mean, my guess is not imminent, but you don't know. CFC Price says we should forfeit the match and take the 3-0 loss, which is, yeah, I mean, it can get. I mean, this is what we want. We're all feeling a bit like this is going to be a tough one. This is what we want. Paul says, I could really use an arrogant Nathan Jones interview on Saturday afternoon saying how we all wrote the team off and we didn't think we stood a chance. Something he holds against us for months. So, Mark, I'm going to give you the opportunity now to say something along those lines. I'm going to clip it and I'm going to send it to Nathan to fire him up. So, tell us how bad it's going to go on Saturday, and then when we win, we can all say that you were the one who was too negative.
Oh no, I'm not going to give him the satisfaction, to be honest. I should maybe say to him, have you tried being a touch more solid? You know, that might help. That might get him a bit more riled. He doesn't seem to like being solid. I think there's changes to be made, and I wouldn't be adverse to Mannion coming in. I mean, as much as I like Kaminsky, he has let in like 9 goals in 3 games. So,
but come on, like one of those was his fault. I think that's like I'm not blaming the goalkeeper for 9 goals. Come on.
No, but I'm thinking, well, why not? If you've got to change something, and we said we don't have many options to change, we can't change really anyone in defence. You know, I think going for a 4. I'd change up front as well. I'd stick Tanto back in for Lieberman. It's funny because people say, "Oh, you're hard on Lieberman because you know he's young still." He's played a lot of games for us, has scored lots of goals for us, and you can only get away with saying that. Oh, he's young for so long. I mean, as anyone who's watched any of the football over the last couple of nights, and you've seen, you know, 18 and 19-year-olds playing for Barcelona, and no one's saying, "Oh, but they're young." You know, you've got the shirt. Has he done enough to hold on to it? Him and TC, I don't think they have. You know, I think Nathan's too stubborn to change it wholesale. I wouldn't mind starting with Berry again. I didn't think he was the worst on Saturday. I just think we just need to sit tighter in midfield and not maraud forward. And I would think Doc could come out quite happily. Apter is a hard one because, you know, he was shortchanged against Southampton. It could have been any one of the front who were taken out. But, you know, he had 15 minutes on Tuesday night. He touched the ball 3 times. So you do look at it and say, well, is he going to be the one who's going to be raided down? Or is he going on and being told, right, sit in that, you know, wide midfield thing. Don't go raiding forward. We don't want to concede more. We want to look tighter. You know, it looks like Carey is following more instructions. When he was free flowing and going where he wanted, he scored 4 goals in a row. And now it seems like Carey's being more regimented in what he has to do. And he seemed to allude to it in one of the interviews that, you know, he was doing a job in a particular place. I'm thinking, well, if you've got someone who was in that confident mood, you know, he hasn't had sort of like, you don't see him now getting the ball and driving on. And it's, you know, is he just following orders which are being barked at him from the side? So, I don't know.
Yeah. So, Joe, I'm just going to put this last one to you then. So, Linko Y, again, it's the weird YouTube usernames coming up. It says, why doesn't Nathan put Apter up front like Tyrese Campbell? He's a decent winger and makes better crosses than TC. Use him in his best position, would work in a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, but would Nathan change formation? So, yeah, so they're saying sort of more use of Apter. Could you see him working in a different sort of role like that? I mean, is that the answer?
I'm not against it. we've tried about a number of formations, lineups, and setups over the last few games. So he obviously is scratching around for the answer. I said, I think earlier in the show, that I felt that we've looked the best as a back four in the last couple of games. I think when you get everyone back fit, doesn't mean you have to stay like that. But for now, maybe that's the answer with Bree and Ramsey at fullback. The benefit of a front three or a five with the two wide men of Apter and TC is they help to negate some of the lack of legs that you've got in Leeburn. So you can harry and chase that defence a little bit easier. But then you do have a little bit less cover, going backwards because you're not dropping back into a five necessarily as easily. So it is a real tricky one that ultimately I think for me that our biggest problem is up front and that press. And so if we are going to stick with the same formation, same style, I would probably swap Tanto for Leeburn at the start and at least have somebody with a bit more pace and energy and a bit more aggression in that press and see if that can give us a bit more solidity throughout the whole team. But you are shuffling deck chairs a little bit on the Titanic. And the last time that Coventry scored 3 and then scored 4, they went on to score 5 in the next game. Then they've scored 3 and 4 in the last 2. So that's a great positive omen to end the show on.
Yeah, well, we've also been joined by Glenn, who we've all decided to be very rude to in the chat. He says the Sky Blues, he's a Coventry fan. The Sky Blues have lost just one of their last 15 home games against Charlton, winning 9 and drawing 5. This is the first time we've gone there since Boxing Day 2018. I think it's safe to say that Glenn will not be invited back into the chat for bringing that negativity into our show. Right, let's leave it there. Sorry, Glenn, we're only joking. Massive thanks to everyone who's joined us in the chat this evening. Look back at the defeat at Stoke. We've looked ahead to the game with Coventry on Saturday. We will look back at that game on Sunday morning. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Tough task, but 2,000 of us going up there will be behind the lads, I'm sure. Those of you going up there, charltonlive.etsy.com if you want to take a Charlton Live mug with you. Probably wouldn't be allowed into the ground with it, actually, so leave it at home, but just order it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, and wherever you see the pod, so you don't miss it on Sunday and for the rest of the season. Right, Nath, Mark, and Joe, thanks for your time.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers, mate.
Lovely stuff. I'm Louis Mendes. This has been Charlton Live, sponsored by PSF Steel Limited. We'll see you again on Sunday morning.